How does... Shit. Okay, hi. Damn it. Hey YouTube, this is my first time trying to vlog something, so bear with me. So, should you follow your dreams? Is it worth doing? I've had my own experience with trying this out, so I thought I'd share. A little bit of background about me before getting into answering that question though. I'm 28. I was born and bred in Los Angeles. I'm currently staying in Seattle, and I'm currently in the process of trying to run my own company. I've always wanted to have my own company and kind of do my own thing, create whatever I wanted to do. So my background before this was I always wanted to do video game development, and so I had an interest in programming. Went to school, got a bachelor's in computer science, and then eventually went to work in the programming industry. I did that for about 4.5 years until finally I just decided to break away from that and do my own thing. And so these are kind of some of the things that I've learned along the way. So is it worth following your dreams? Yes, with an apostrophe there. So in my specific case, I've always preached that you should do whatever you want to do, and not worry about the money, not worry about how much you're gonna make. Just really try and go at it and see where you get. I really think it's worth doing something that makes you happy rather than something that makes you money, because you can do something that makes a lot of money, but that doesn't necessarily equate to you being happy or enjoying what you do. And since working is what you do most of the time, then you might as well be happy while you're doing it. So personally, I would much rather work and do something that I enjoy and kind of just, scrape by. Not like super bottom of the barrel, but enough to live comfortably. But at least be happy with what you're doing and be happy with yourself. So since that's something I've always preached, I thought it was about time that I actually try and put it into practice, and see what happens. So I worked as a software developer for 4.5 years, and maybe towards the last half of the year that I was there, I kind of wanted something more. I always knew that software development wasn't the last thing for me. It was going to be something else. Just what I wanted kind of evolved over the years, and I ended up wanting to do other stuff. I wanted to be more creative, more design oriented. I wanted to do more art, and programming wasn't helping me in fulfilling that. Don't get me wrong, I love programming, but it's you do it enough and it's I don't know, it depends on who you work for too. It depends on if it's fulfilling, if you like the work that you're doing, if it's exciting, if it's new, if it's fresh. And I kind of got to a point where I felt it was just kind of stale. And so my interest kind of branched out from there. I guess I'm still interested in programming. I don't know, I want to do something else with it. I want to do something fresh. But then also I wanted to write. I wanted to make shorts. I wanted to make board games. I wanted to do something that was my own and that I made and I created, and not what someone else told me to do. So kind of in the last little bit that I was there, I kind of said jokingly, man, wouldn't it be great if I could just do this full time and not have to worry about rent? And I kind of said it to some people, and then one of my friends was just like, okay, come live with me. And I was like, what? And so they're like, yeah, I'm totally serious. Come live with me. rent-free. I'm in Seattle, come up. So then kind of like the door was open, and it was up to me to kind of decide whether or not it was worth jumping through the door. So there were kind of a lot of things to think about. The biggest thing is money and how you're gonna make it last. Because not having to pay rent is super great, but I mean, there are still other things that I have to pay for. Like, I have student loans, I have a car loan, I have insurance to pay for, and even if you have some money, it still eats away, and you're basically on a time limit. So with all that in mind, I kind of started making a plan of how best to approach this. So like, okay, I need to start saving money. I need to figure out how I'm getting there. What am I doing? What's the plan? How do I make this as successful as possible? And so I kind of plotted out a timeline of, okay, this is how long I'm going to stay at my company. I'm going to make this much money. And I'm kind of luckier in the sense that because I am a software developer, I make, a little bit more money than most people would make. So I had a little bit of an easier time saving up for what would be like my base for going out. So even with that though, I had to budget pretty hardcore. I had to figure out how much expenses I had until the time I left, how much I would make, kind of the difference, what I thought my monthly expenses would be once I moved out here, how much it would cost to move, and all of it really adds up. But taking all of that into account, I still thought it was something I should go for. I have to practice what I preach, right? And I also discussed it with a lot of different people before kind of just jumping into it. Like, I know this is something I want to do, but is it a good idea? Is it stupid? Is it worth it? Like, what's the right answer? And there really is no right answer in these kinds of situations. It's almost like it's case by case. It could be a really great idea, but at the same time, it's all circumstantial. It depends on what's going on. But anyway, I decided that I should go for it, and so then I had my budget, gave my 2 weeks notice, and from then on, I was planning to fully go into this and see what would happen. So I loaded up my car with whatever I needed, and I drove from Los Angeles to Seattle about 3 or 4 days. And then from there, I started to get to work. So the first project I started working on when I got up here was I had already been working on creating a board game. And so my first order of business was to polish that up and create a Kickstarter for it. So luckily it was in a pretty done state, just needed a little bit of work, and then worked about 2 weeks to make a Kickstarter and then launched it. So at first I was really excited, and the Kickstarter was doing well for about a week, and then it kind of just plateaued, and then it was just staying there. So it was kind of like some emotional whiplash, being like really excited, like, oh man, this is gonna make it, and then just nothing, and realizing that it wasn't gonna make it. But luckily I had kind of planned for it. I think it's important to understand that not everything you do is going to be successful. You're gonna have a lot of failures along the way until you get it right. So while I was sad about it and I wanted it to be successful, I knew it wasn't going to happen. So I kind of had to just like cut my losses and move on to the next thing. So the next thing, and the thing that I'm currently working on, is a video game, and hopefully I'm planning to have that out maybe early February, I'm guessing. So hopefully that will sustain me a little bit. And otherwise, I'm probably going to have to go back home and probably get another software development job. Luckily for me, though, I am in a field where it's not that hard to get a job. There's plenty of people out there asking for people, and I think I'm at least decent enough to be hired. So I'm not really worried about having a backup plan, having to find another job. And so it's a little easier for me to be like, well, I failed, I guess I'll just go back to doing what I was doing before. The other thing too is that for my specific situation, I'm only gonna have enough money to survive until maybe end of February, and my game is gonna release like beginning of February, so I'm kind of in an awkward position where it's like, well, do I find another job or do I risk it on this and possibly go into like $0? So it's an interesting dilemma to try and figure out. So with that being said, though, that's kind of my situation, and overall I think it's worth trying to explore what you want to do and to follow your dreams and to go for it. Obviously my case is not the same as everybody else's, and I'm kind of privileged in a way that I had a previous job where I could make a good base of money to kind of sustain myself through this entire thing. And luckily I have a skill set where I can fall back on that, and it's kind of a safety net. But I do realize that not everybody has that, and it can be really, really scary for some people to try and do something, just like jump into the deep end and see what happens. But even knowing all of that, I still think it's definitely worth trying to do what you want to do. Honestly, like, taking this kind of leap of faith was like one of my best decisions I've ever made. I'm very, very happy when I'm working on my own stuff, and it's super, super awesome to be able to just be like, I'm gonna go to bed whenever, I'm gonna wake up whenever, and I'm gonna put in whatever hours I want to and not have to worry about anything else. And then every day I get to work on something that I want to work on, that I'm passionate about, that I want to do. So that's why I say it's worth trying to follow your dreams, but with an apostrophe. There is a catch. My advice is to plan as much as you can. Plan for the future as far ahead as you can. See kind of what's feasible. Definitely you're going to have some failures. It's not always going to be perfect the first time. It's going to be hard, but it's definitely worth it. Even if you take the jump and you fail, I think at the end of the day, it's still worth trying to do what you want to do. And even if you fail, that doesn't mean you have to stop there. That's not where your journey ends. You can always pick yourself back up, plan for the future again, and then when you're ready, make the jump again. And maybe your goal isn't as lofty as mine in trying to start a business, doing it all by yourself. Maybe you just want to be like really good at art, or maybe you want to be really good at music or something. And you can do those things on your own time. You can practice, and you'll make progress, and then you can turn it into whatever you want to turn it into. So whatever it is you want to do, go out there, try it, fail, succeed. But at the end of the day, just as long as it makes you happy, then it's entirely worth it.
I love the girl with magic.
You know, I tried to film this earlier in the day, thinking I have more sunlight, but then Seattle weather just decided to take a shit on me and rain all week. So, yeah.